The wind bit sharply that morning, slicing across the glassy surface of Crystal Ridge Lake. Mist curled and drifted over the docks like silent, watchful ghosts. I stood at the far end of Pier 7, my reflection stretching long and pale beneath me. I hadn't been back here in years, not since the memories had become too heavy, the eyes too familiar. Yet somehow something had pulled me back today. From behind, the crunch of hurried footsteps snapped through the quiet. "Excuse me?" "This is a private area." I turned slowly. She was there. Mid-50s, platinum bob, pastel cardigan pulled tight around her shoulders like armor. Her eyes scanned me with precision, flicking from my boots to my jacket, lingering on the stubble along my jaw. I knew her type instantly. HOA board member. Self-appointed guardian of neighborhood order. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. "This dock is for residents only." "I'm just remembering," I said, my voice low. "I used to live here." That simple truth was all it took. Her lips pressed tight. Her hand dove into her purse, and a phone emerged. She stepped back, dialing with practiced precision. "Yes, there's a suspicious man by the lake. Dark jacket. Looks dangerous. Send someone fast." I exhaled slowly, eyes returning to the lake. The ripples seemed to deepen and darken, as if listening to everything around them. Within minutes, sirens shattered the morning calm. 2 police cruisers rolled up, lights spinning silently. Doors slammed, boots hit pavement. Officers approached swiftly, hands hovering near their holsters. "Sir, we're going to need you to step away from the dock," one called. I turned to face them fully and froze the scene. The younger officer paused mid-step. His partner's hand slid from his holster. Their eyes widened, not in fear, but in recognition. "Wait," the older officer said, voice careful now. "It's you?" Karen's confident smirk faltered. "Do you know him?" she asked, glancing between the 2 men. Neither responded. One stepped closer to me, lowering his voice to a tone I hadn't heard in years. "Sir, we thought you were gone." The air thickened, heavy with unspoken history. Behind me, the lake shimmered in pale sunlight, hiding secrets beneath its surface. Karen's gaze flicked between us, confusion shifting into something colder. A creeping realization she had underestimated what she'd started. In that instant, I knew today was only the beginning. The younger officer kept stealing glances at me, then back at Karen, like he'd stumbled into the wrong act of a play. The older, broad-shouldered man, late 40s, stood firm, though tension cut across his jaw. "Ma'am," he said to Karen without looking at her. "We'll take it from here," her voice sharpened, indignant. "This man's trespassing. He could be dangerous. I know my rights. We'll handle it," he interrupted, leaving no room for argument. Karen stepped back, clutching her phone like a shield. The younger officer approached cautiously. "Sir, we thought you were still overseas. No one's seen you in years." He paused, eyes flicking toward Karen, then back at me. "I came back quietly," I said, "and I intend to keep it that way." The older officer shifted. "You realize this puts us in a tricky position?" "It won't," I said, "unless she talks." Karen's mouth opened in outrage. "I'm right here." Both officers ignored her. "Look," the older one said, "we need to move this somewhere private." "Fine," I said, "but I'm not leaving without my property." His brow furrowed. "Property?" I gestured toward the lake. The mist had thinned, revealing a weathered wooden boathouse at the far end. "There's something in there." "Something I left behind," the younger officer stiffened. "Is it still intact?" I gave a slow nod. Karen, frustrated, stepped closer. "You can't just... What are you even talking about?" The older officer shot her a look sharp enough to cut steel. "Ma'am, go home. I will not. This is my neighborhood. If something illegal is happening..." "Karen," I said, calm but firm, "you've already made your call. Now decide if you really want to know the truth. Once you do, you can't unknow it." For the first time, she hesitated. Words failed her. The older officer exhaled. "All right, let's move. Quietly." We started along the lake's edge. The boards creaked underfoot. Karen followed, curiosity outweighing caution. Water lapped at the dock, carrying pine and something older, something metallic. Approaching the boathouse, the younger officer muttered under his breath, "I can't believe it's really here." Neither could I. The boathouse leaned against the water, Faded red paint peeling, roof sagging with decades of weight. Damp wood and rust greeted us as we stepped onto the warped dock. The older officer led, boots thudding against planks. The younger stayed close to me, eyes trying to read my thoughts. Karen trailed, breathing quickening, not from walking, but from anticipation. I stopped at the padlocked door. The lock was old, but had been replaced since I last saw it. The officers exchanged glances. "You didn't put that there?" the younger one asked. I shook my head. "No, someone else has been here." Karen crossed her arms. "Well, if it's locked, that means you shouldn't be going in there." The older officer ignored her. He pulled a small set of tools from his belt and crouched at the padlock. "If we're doing this, we do it fast." A dull snap echoed, and the lock gave way. He pushed the door inward. Dim light filtered through the cracks, casting jagged shadows. Dust motes drifted in the air like tiny suspended stars. Against the far wall, beneath a weathered tarp, sat the shape I remembered. I stepped forward, peeling the tarp away. Beneath it was an old wooden chest, oak reinforced with iron bands. My spine tingled at the sight. Karen scoffed. "That's it? You dragged us out here for a box?" The younger officer's voice was tight. "You have no idea what's inside." Her eyes narrowed, then brightened as understanding crept in. I knelt and brushed away decades of dust from the lid. My fingers found the worn brass latch. It resisted, then gave with a reluctant creak. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, lay an object untouched for over 10 years. A black leather portfolio, sealed with a strip of wax, stamped with an insignia only a handful of people would recognize. The younger officer swallowed hard. "You still have it?" "Of course," I said. "That's why I came back." Karen stepped closer, voice quieter. "What is it?" The older officer snapped the lid shut before she could see more. "Something that should never have stayed here. Something that, if discovered, could change everything." The wind outside picked up, rattling the walls. Karen's curiosity shifted to unease. Deep down, I knew we weren't alone. The older officer slid the portfolio under his arm and closed the boathouse door. The hinges groaned like a warning. Karen was right behind him. "You can't just take that," she said. "I have a right to know what's happening in my neighborhood." "No," the older officer said flatly. "You really don't." Her mouth fell open in disbelief. "Excuse me?" I stepped between them. "Karen, listen. Walk away now, pour a cup of tea, pretend this morning never happened. Stay and there's no turning back." She hesitated, jaw tight, but she stayed. The younger officer scanned the shoreline. "We need to move. If the lock was changed, someone's been watching this place." We moved quickly along the dock toward the tree line. The older officer held the portfolio tightly. Karen finally asked, unable to contain herself. "What's in it?" "It's not what's in it," I said softly. "It's what it means." We stopped in the shade of the pines. The older officer looked to me for permission. I nodded. He opened the portfolio just enough for Karen to glimpse the wax seal, deep crimson, stamped with an eagle perched on a broken chain. Her brow furrowed. "That's government," she guessed. "More than that," the younger officer said. "An operational seal classified level 7. Karen blinked. "What does that even mean?" I met her gaze. "It means there are exactly 6 people in the state authorized to open this seal. I'm one of them." Her earlier bravado faded into unease. "So, you're law enforcement?" "No," I said. "Not anymore." The older officer closed the portfolio. "This file should have been destroyed years ago. If it's still here, someone left it for a reason, and whoever that is will come looking." A branch snapped in the woods. The younger officer's hand went to his sidearm. "We're not alone." Slow, deliberate footsteps approached through the trees. Karen's eyes widened. "Is this one of your friends?" she whispered. "Not unless they've been hiding as long as I have," I said. The older officer turned toward the sound. "We have to move now." We broke into a brisk walk, sticking close. Karen stayed silent, but I felt in my gut we were already too late. The footsteps followed, steady, unhurried, like whoever it was knew we couldn't outrun them. The older officer tightened his grip on the portfolio. "We get this to the station." "No stops," Karen's voice trembled. "What if they catch up?" I said. "We hope they're here to talk." The younger officer glanced back. No chance of keeping pace. They're closing in without breaking a sweat. The path curved to a narrow clearing by the lake. Mist rolled in, swallowing the shoreline in silver haze. We stopped. So did the footsteps. Then a figure emerged. Tall, hooded, hands at their sides, standing a few yards away. Mist curled around their boots. "I was wondering when you'd come back," the figure said, calm but waited. The older officer shifted. "You've been here all along, watching?" The figure's gaze fixed on me. Karen looked sharply at me. "You know them?" I nodded. "We worked together a long time ago." The figure tilted its head. "You still have it?" "Yes," I said. "And I'm not giving it to you." A faint smile touched their lips. "Then you're in more danger than you realize. That file. It's the only record of what really happened at Ridge Point." The younger officer stepped forward. "If that's true, it belongs in evidence." The figure's smile faded. "Evidence? No. Hand it over and the truth disappears forever." The older officer's grip tightened, or it keeps the wrong people from using it. The mist wrapped tighter around us. I looked at the portfolio, then the figure. "You had 10 years to come for it." "Why now?" "Because," they said quietly, "the people who want it back are already on their way." In the distance, an engine roared to life. Tires crunched over gravel. Karen gasped. "We need to move," the younger officer said. I stayed still. The figure's words lingered, sharper than the chill in the air. "The truth will disappear." Finally, I stepped up to the older officer and took the portfolio. "I'll decide where this goes." The figure nodded once, then melted back into the fog. The officers looked at me in disbelief. Karen just stared, realizing she'd wandered far beyond HOA disputes. The engine grew louder. As we headed into the mist, I knew the real story was only beginning.